Hello, my name is Katie Elia, and this is my inquiry research presentation. So the context for my presentation was based out of my Title I school in Clovis Unified School District. I teach first grade to 10 girls and 9 boys. Out of my students, none of them qualify for English learners, and none of them have an IEP plan or a 504 plan. Our school site demographics are 53% Hispanic, 33% white, 9% Asian, and 4% two or more races. And out of our total school population, 64% qualifies for free and reduced lunch. So my focal students were 3 students in my class who passed a level 1 DRA but could not pass a level 2. All of these students do small group reading with me 4 days a week, and all 3 of these students are also enrolled in our after-school reading intervention program. So the data that I collected first was a total class assessment of their beginning of the year DRA levels. So DRA stands for Developmental Reading Assessment. As incoming first graders, they should come in to me at a level 4. If they slide back to a level 3 from not doing much work over summer, we completely understand that. But 13 out of my 19 students are reading at a level 3 or below, which is about 68% below grade level. And of those 13, 9 of them are reading 2 or more levels below where they should be at this point in the year. So it was a little concerning, which is why I wanted to dive deeper in figuring out what exactly these students are struggling with so I can help them grow in their reading levels. So my research question began, I began wondering what was causing my 3 focal students to be reading 3 reading levels below where they should be at this point. They were at a level 1, they should be at a level 4. So I noticed they were not using their visual cues. And after I noticed that, this led me to notice that they were lacking in encoding skills and alliteration skills. And finally, after assessing them some more, I noticed that they did not know all of their letter sounds, which led to my final research question: if I provide explicit phonological instruction 4 days a week, will my students' awareness of beginning and ending sounds improve? The articles that I read to help me with this were Understanding the Reading Process, One Path to Strengthening Classroom Instruction by Diane Tracy. I also read Effective Word Reading Instruction, What Does the Evidence Tell Us by Victoria S. Hinbest and Ken Appel. And the last article I read was Contributions of the Components of Phonemic Awareness to Letter Sound Knowledge with Kindergarten Students in High Poverty Urban Elementary Schools by Matthew K. Burns, Catherine E. Mackey, Lori Hellman, Jennifer McComas, and Helen Young. So my first data collection was collecting their running records. So I did this because I wanted to see, are they making errors based off meaning, based off structure, or based off visual? So I assessed them all on a book that we had read the day before, and it was a book that we had read a few times through, so not an unknown text. We talked about it the day before. We did a picture walk, so I was interested to see if they would make any errors in this text since it was one that we had gone over. After looking at all 3 of the students' running records, I noticed that they were making a lot of visual errors, and they struggled in identifying the ending sounds in unknown words. But this showed me that their strengths were recognizing the sentence patterns with a familiar text. So here is student B's running record. So any word that they got correct, I marked with a check mark, and any word that they substituted, I wrote it above the word, and any word they did not know, I marked with a dash and an A for appeal. They asked me for help, and then either they would try it and I would write a check mark, or I would tell them the word, and that's what the TT stands for, teacher told. So here is student C's running record. So again, we are not looking at the letters to help us identify unknown words. In line 3, the word was feeding. They said helping and then milking. Not even looking at that beginning F sound. Again, in line 4, the word was digging. The student said making at first, which don't begin with the same letter sound, obviously. So that was what we wanted to work on. So my second data collection, after I noticed that they were making visual mistakes, I wanted to know exactly what areas in phonemic and phonological awareness were they struggling with. So we did a total of 10 phonological awareness assessments, and that helped me see exactly what area within phonological awareness were they struggling with. Was it rhyming? Was it alliteration? Things like that. So I scored the students, and then their scores fall into a range. So if they got 0 answers correct, it stands for no control, so I put an N. If they got a few, then it's little control, or an L. If they got about half right, it's some control, or an S. If they missed maybe 1 or 2, they're gaining control, or a letter G. And if they did not miss any, then I marked it with a C, which stands for full control. So this showed me that their struggles were alliteration and encoding, and their strengths were meta-language, which was using language to talk about language, and letter identification. So the last area of data that I collected with these students was the letter sound recognition. Based off of the DRA task assessment, it showed me that they were able to identify the letter, but now I wanted to see, could they identify the sounds that that letter can make? So we used the quick phonemic awareness assessment, specifically skill 11, to complete this assessment. So this showed me that their struggles were the long vowel sounds and the H digraphs. Almost all of the students could not tell me any of the long vowel sounds. If they could, it was maybe 1 or 2 long vowel sounds. And they did not know the different sounds, like the hard and the soft sounds that the letter G makes and the letter C makes. But their strengths were, they knew all of their short vowel sounds, and they knew most of their consonant letter sounds. And then if they answered incorrectly, I recorded what sound they said instead of the correct sound. And if they told me I don't know, then I would circle that letter sound. So student A was able to identify 30 out of the 44 letter sounds correctly. Student B was able to identify 18 out of the 44 sounds correctly. And student C was able to identify 30 out of the 44 sounds correctly. So this told me overall that we needed to work on long vowel sounds and digraphs, and just kind of review all of the consonant sounds for the ones that they did not fully have automatic yet. So here is a video of our small group work. So we are working on changing the beginning sounds. Oops. What do we think we need to change? Miss Elia's gonna put some dots underneath the letters, okay?
You guys see the dots that I'm adding underneath each letter?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So we have act. If I want to change it to say bat, so let's sound it out. What sound do we need to change?
I know.
The act sound or the what sound in cat do we need to change? Ariana, what sound do we need to change? The first sound. Good job. And what am I going to change it to make it say bat?
B.
What letter?
It's a B.
A B. Good job. I'm going to change it to a B. Now let's
Okay,
do that.
that's-
Ready? When I tap each circle, we're going to say the sound. What's the sound?
But.
Good. Now when I run my finger underneath it, let's say the word. What word is this?
Bat.
Bat. Good job. Okay, now I want to change the word bat to the word rat. Rat. What sound do I need to change?
I know.
But
The first one.
the first sound. Good job, Bella.
All right, so my conclusions were at the beginning, the students were not able to decode unfamiliar words because they did not know all of their letter sounds. Their brains were working so hard to decode these words that they were not able to even retain what we were reading in the story or any comprehension pieces. And they struggled with identifying sight words and identifying initial and ending sounds. So what's been working for us is every day we review list one of their sight words. I have them on a ring and we go over them as our warm-up. And then we meet 4 days a week for our small group reading time. 2 of those days we are reading books at their independent level, and then we write a sentence afterwards. Again, working on those letter sounds and recognizing what letters make those sounds to help us write our sentences. And the other 2 days, we are working on a book that's 1 to 2 levels harder than what they can read by themselves. This is their instructional reading level. And they read that with me, and we work more on the comprehension piece and breaking down those bigger, more complex vocabulary words. 2 out of the 3 students have attended almost every after-school intervention session. One of the students has been a little bit more inconsistent with that, so her growth has not been as extreme as the other 2. So once we get a little bit more consistent with our attendance, I think that her growth will really skyrocket, just like the other 2 students have. And these students will be able to assign meaning to words once they are able to identify them, which will be important in building their vocabulary. So our next steps, what I would like to continue to do would be work more on the sight word recognition, continue to practice the letter sounds and the word families, and changing the beginning, middle, and ending sounds within a word. And I would like to test their DRA levels again to see if they have moved up. So overall, that is my presentation. Thank you so much for watching.